Thank you, everybody, for showing up this afternoon, the last session of Synthesize. I hope it's worth your time sticking around here. My name is Ryan Arnaudin. I'm the head of product and design for our program solution at Bright Idea. So I don't want to give away too much just yet, but today we're going to be talking about how to take a programmatic approach to pitch competitions that makes getting innovative ideas of all sizes into a repeatable process. So, as innovators and innovation managers here in the room, I'm pretty sure the question of where the best ideas for your business are going to come from keeps you up at night. So, you all know good ideas can come from anywhere, they can be any shape, they can be any size, and you want to facilitate the process of getting those good ideas from your employees, right? So, you know, business and technology are evolving at an accelerating rate, and that a constant stream of innovation is needed to stay relevant in both today's and tomorrow's world. There's also a lot of approaches to innovation that you could be taking. You probably heard a lot of those this week, and there's different programs that you could run. So you're probably wondering what's the right one for you. I'm here today to present a set of tools and processes that can be combined to drive more engaging, impactful, and repeatable innovation at your companies. So before we get started, a quick look at the path that we're going to take. We're going to start off talking about pitch competitions, which are one of the most powerful tools in the innovation program management toolbox for getting good ideas for you and your business. I'll talk about what they are, why you should consider them, and a few essential considerations when you're getting started. From there, we're going to unlock some real magic by exploring how to take a programmatic approach to pitch competitions. So this is about going from ad hoc, one-off innovation events to a repeatable and reliable process. The final piece of the puzzle today will be my ideas. So I'll show you how to enable always-on employee ideation with Bright Idea, and I'll even take you through a product demo of this brand new feature. We'll have a little bit of time at the end for Q&A, and we also have a preview copy of our new pitch program guide that we'll send you home with here at the end. So let's start off talking about pitch competitions. Raise your hand out there if you've ever run a pitch competition at your company. Awesome, a few. Front row. Did anybody have a chance this morning to sit in on the first panel session? They talked a bit about pitch competitions there. It was a pretty good session. I'll refer to that a few times here. You probably also got some good tips if you were there, but I'm going to give you some more. I copied and pasted slides. It's going to hurt me. So the rest of you are probably familiar with the pitch competition, at least through the television shows Shark Tank or Dragon's Den. In the corporate world, these are sometimes referred to as pitch competitions, business case competitions, business proposal events, or maybe business plan competitions. So a lot of different names these can go by. We think that this is one of the most effective ways to identify the best business opportunities of all sizes. This is exactly what your business leaders want, I can promise you that. A pitch competition enables you to reliably facilitate this process by sourcing proposals from a broad base of employees, evaluating them fairly and efficiently, and then ultimately selecting the best of those to be funded. In a corporate pitch competition, ideas are all coming from employees, and they align with business goals by design. So before we go too deep here, I want to quickly introduce the roles so that we're all using the same language and know what we're talking about here. So we have our business sponsor. This is the person who is putting up resources and funding for the innovation initiative. They're your number one partner here. The innovation program manager, that's people like you in the room who are managing the program and the process and the software. We have our employee participation, our employee participants who are a key element of this process. They're really the bread and butter. They know everything about your market, your product, your customers, so they're going to be the best source of great ideas. We have evaluators and judges who are volunteers or people from the business sponsor's business unit who help evaluate ideas and select the best of the ideas. And then we have advisors who work with the submitter or the submitting team to help develop out the ideas, build out business cases, and really make sure that the idea speaks the language of the business and solves a business problem. So with the roles out of the way, let's talk about the process. So the basic idea with a pitch competition is to crowdsource business proposals from employees and then apply a stage gate process to evaluate those proposals and develop them into business cases. As those business cases are developed, you may bring in those advisors to help coach the team, and teams may begin to form. So these should be cross-functional, and they should be small and scrappy, so we don't want those teams to get bloated. Not everyone with a good idea is necessarily versed in the language of business, so it's always a good opportunity to improve the overall business alignment of ideas that are going to be pitched. If you did attend that first panel this morning, you may have heard Derek talk about shelfware and them having the problem of engineers with good ideas, coming up with good inventions, but having no business application for those ideas. So a mentor or a coach or an advisor can help with that. The final pitch is typically presented to business leaders, including the business sponsor. And at this point, everybody is vying for that final chance at funding. So they want that business leader to sponsor their idea, fund it, and take it to their business unit to be implemented. The last step of this process is to track the impact of these projects. So the previous session in here was all about business impact. It was a great session. If you didn't attend, I encourage you to go back and watch the recording. And yesterday you probably heard that customers have tracked over $3.7 billion worth of impact in the last year in Bright Idea. So innovation programs are often starting off as experiments or pilots or POCs, but as they develop over time, it's essential that you're tracking impact or those programs are going to die out. So this is something to start thinking about from the beginning. So our goal is to get good business ideas of all sizes out of our employees. That narrows us down to a few potential program types. Why should we choose pitch competitions specifically? I'll give you 3 reasons today. Those are: 1, that they're effective. They get you good ideas for your business of all sizes, and those ideas are sponsored and they ultimately do get implemented. They're relatively efficient to run in terms of people, resources, and time required. And then number 3, they're easy to launch. So these don't require a lot of production. It may be counterintuitive. We're going to dig into that. But everything is built into Bright Idea that you need. So we've got your back, and you already have all the tools that you need to run this, believe it or not. So let's break that down. Number 1, a pitch competition is effective. By this, again, we mean that you're getting ideas of all sizes, and those ideas actually get implemented and adopted because they're aligned to business objectives and they have a business sponsor. In this vein, it weeds out a lot of the noise with other challenge types. So you don't get ideas with questionable business value. You have that sponsor who's identified ahead of time, and this is somebody who's hungry for good ideas from their employees, and they want those to fuel their business. So this slide may be familiar if you attended Genevieve's presentation. I'm just going to hit on it quickly. Has anybody ever tried to track some type of innovation initiative in a Google Sheet or an Excel document? Yeah, it's pretty tough, right? It's not very effective. It's also not very efficient. Who's done a sticky note brainstorm? I've done tons of these. I've got a background in design. I'm sure anybody with design thinking experience has done a number of these. They can be great, but they're really just scoped to the size of and the people in the room. So you're probably going to come out of the room with a couple top ideas, but a lot of ideas are just going to get thrown in the trash. And ultimately, you're not going to be able to do anything beyond the people who were in the room. So the highest power person in the room is pretty much as high as you're going to get and as effective as you're going to get with those. I also like to pick on the suggestion box. I'll probably bring this up a few more times, but this is a method that also can be very difficult to implement effectively. People often ask how it differs from a pitch competition, and I hope I'm going to illustrate that today for you. But essentially, it's very hard to be effective because you have to find out who owns each one of these ideas, get them to them. Each one of them probably has a different way of implementing and funding ideas, so it can just be a bear to manage. On the other hand, a pitch competition, you're always getting fresh ideas that align to clear criteria and clear scope. So we talked a lot already about how those ideas actually get implemented since that business sponsor has committed funding and resources ahead of time. definite benefit of this approach. And with this type of approach, running pitch competitions, employees are going to be happy to see that there's actually a process where ideas get implemented. It can be super demotivating when you submit ideas and you never hear if or what was implemented. With a pitch competition, this is built into the process and it serves as an intrinsic motivator for future events. This leads nicely to the next point, which is that a pitch competition is efficient. This means that the effort required from both the innovation manager, so the folks in the room here, and the business sponsor is small compared to the potential impact of the initiative. So we're getting good, big ideas as well as small ideas, and we're going to see a lot of impact. So even though it does take a little bit of effort, the impact far outweighs the effort. So with a pitch competition, ideas are submitted and evaluated in batches. This timing and batching of ideas in a pitch competition makes it easy for business leaders to get involved at a strategic, high-leverage step in the process. So as a business leader, just think about it. It's a super easy decision for you to dedicate a couple hours, one day a quarter, to judging those pitches because you know that this leads directly to employee engagement and innovations for your business. Contrast this again with the suggestion box, where ideas are continuously flowing in. They may be unsolicited. They may be complaints. They may be unreasonable. And the rate is just unpredictable. You don't know how many are going to come in today and tomorrow. And this causes random distractions for you and for the business leader. On the side of the innovation program manager, I believe things are so efficient with this process that one person can manage a pitch competition part-time and still do it very well. With Bright Idea, all the best practices are built in, including everything needed for this batched evaluation, for judging. You've got scorecards, you've got submission form questions, all built out for you, email templates, and it's all fully customizable, so you can tailor that to your organization and culture as needed. So we give you the tools you need to be efficient in managing proposal ideas all the way through business cases and ultimately to the pitches. Finally, for this section, it's easy to get started and launch a pitch competition. It may sound daunting if you've never done one of these before, but with Bright Idea, you can really get started with this in just 2 to 4 weeks. You could be up and running. You're fully supported in getting started and launched. From our pitch program guide that we're going to give a preview copy of here today, to the setup wizard, to the app playbook, you have everything you need to get started. So this stuff is built into the product. You can access it all from the app details page. And the entire process and workflow is built out for you with best practice defaults and submission form questions all set up. Okay, so it's effective, efficient, it's easy to get started. But practically speaking, what are some of the things you need to know? This is a real quick section here that'll pull 2 points from our pitch guide to help you get thinking about key considerations before you go back to work. So these are going to be your business sponsor and communications. So number one most important thing here is the business sponsor. That's why I keep repeating it. It may be the hardest thing to do, depending on your organization. Maybe you already have somebody in mind, but it's going to be the most important thing that you do, and that's lining up your executive sponsor. And trust me, once you find somebody who's engaged and invested in this, they're going to put the weight of their organization behind the success of the pitch competition. So this is worth thinking about and finding the right person. When you're thinking through this, the higher up your sponsor, the broader and the bigger the ideas that come into the pitch competition and get funded can be. So, for example, this could be run by a product leader in your organization, and they could be looking for product-related ideas of all sizes to implement in the next quarter or next quarters on their roadmap. Or it could be sponsored as high up as the CEO level, where you're looking for the biggest and broadest business ideas. So everything up to the next moonshot idea for the business. This person's going to commit to the funding and implementation of ideas. They're going to commit resources and a project team. They're going to ensure that all ideas that come in, and at least all the ideas that get selected, are aligned to business goals. They're going to commit employee time to the ideation and evaluation phases. They often serve as a judge themselves, so they often have some final say in which of the top ideas are funded and implemented. And this is going to be your partner in developing a culture of innovation at your company. Another thing to start thinking about are communication strategy. So I'm sure we'll all agree that communication is extremely important in the health of any relationship. I'm here to tell you today that the same is true for a successful pitch competition. You've got to have good communication. So this is something you want to start thinking about ahead of time in the planning and setup phases before you open any kind of submissions. There are a few elements to this, and I've got some screens up here because I think Bright Idea helps with all of them. So you're going to want to communicate with executives. You're going to want to pick a couple top metrics. You can pull those from our business impact dashboards, and you're going to want to communicate those regularly with your executives so they know that the pitch competitions are having impact and that their businesses are seeing ROI from their investment in this type of program. You're going to want to communicate with your sponsor. Again, that's your number one stakeholder, so constant, clear communication with them is key. This is somebody who is focused on the outcomes. So showing them things like the ideas that are coming in, the ideas that are getting the top votes, things like that are going to keep them engaged and wanting to invest more into the program. And then you have your employees. So these are people that are submitting ideas, they're commenting on ideas, potentially voting on ideas, collaborating and building upon one another. You're going to want to keep them engaged. You're going to want to market the program to them. So how do you let them know the pitch competition is launching? When can they submit ideas? When can they engage? And then on the tail end of the competition, you're going to want to provide feedback and recognition as well. So recognize your top innovators and let them know what ideas are being selected and funded and how implementation is going with those ideas. There's a lot more on that in the pitch guide. I just touched on 2 areas, but a lot of good info there, and I'd love to hear your feedback on it. So this sounds pretty good, right? You're all ready to run a pitch competition. You've got the resources, the pitch guide, the app playbook, the setup wizard will take you through the setup process in a matter of minutes. So let's game plan now how we can set ourselves up for success and really take this to the next level. So I'm sure most of you saw this coming from the title and the illusion so far, but the first step in taking this to the next level is to implement a programmatic approach. So we recommend running quarterly pitch competitions, but this could be a couple or even just one time a year. We also talk about innovation program managers for a reason. You all aren't just running ad hoc, random, one-off events that don't connect to each other. You are and you're wanting to take a deliberate programmatic approach to what you're doing, where each innovation initiative that you run builds on the previous. So this is also an opportunity to get creative and build out a program that works for you and your company and your culture. So let's take a look at how this works. So let's say we want to kick off a pitch program starting in the first quarter of 2019. We've got a couple months ahead of us, so that should provide enough time for planning and setup. We just looked at how to run an individual pitch competition, which you can see posted here. So we'll spend about a month or so planning this. We'll open up submissions during the month of January. We'll develop the best of those submissions into business cases in February. And then we'll pitch and present the best of those business cases in March to our business leaders. So this is all well and good, and of course the best ideas are going to be handed off to project teams to be implemented. So how do we make this programmatic? Easy, we just repeat it. So towards the end of the first quarter, we'll start planning our second quarter competition. So that's easy enough. Once the best pitches are selected in Q1, a new proposal submission window will open up for Q2. In this way, our employees know that the next chance to submit their ideas is always just around the corner, so no more FOMO. I'm going to go off script here for a second because I know a lot of you are pretty savvy out there. So a little secret is that you can pretty safely substitute hackathon for pitch in 90% of what I'm saying today. This may be more natural for your more technical organizations if you're coming from an engineering org. So it can be a good way to get started. But again, you are going to want to make sure you partner with a business sponsor. And it's probably even more important in that case to have those advisors to bring the business perspective to the ideas that are being worked on in the hackathon. So carrying this out, a full year might look like this. Again, we're recommending quarterly, but this could be less often depending on your business cycles. As you begin to build out a repeatable process, this enables you to start small and slowly build on the competition quarter by quarter. So you could even start this off with your first one or first couple fully online, no physical pitch event at all. And then you could build that up over time, adding more to the event and making it bigger and bigger. So even if we are doing this quarterly, though, there's some pretty big gaps up on the screen. So there's 8 months, actually, where employees can't submit ideas. So what happens during those times? We know that employees aren't just going to have good ideas when submissions are open. So do they come knock on your door? Do they write this down on a sticky note? Do they put it in some kind of notes app on their phone? What do they do with ideas? This sounds like a good way to lose a lot of good ideas, maybe up to 2/3 of them, in fact. But as we start thinking through how we could solve this problem, we're getting close to that territory that I spoke against earlier on, ad hoc brainstorms and ad hoc ideation suggestion boxes. So I know everybody here has experienced one of those moments when inspiration strikes. For me, it's often when I'm out on a bike ride. I get like a good idea and I have no way to record it, and by the time I get home, I forget about it. But it could be when you're reading an article or watching a movie or listening to some music or at an art exhibit. So yeah, you just get this spark inside of you. You quickly think about how this next thing could impact your personal life or your work life, and you've got a bright idea. But how can you make sure you capture that? And more importantly, as innovation program managers, how can we provide this opportunity to capture ideas at the moment of inspiration to our employees? So luckily, we have a solution for you today. Hope I have everybody's attention at this point, because I'm about to present you with the final piece of the puzzle here. I think this will be pretty fun. We are going to push the hotel Wi-Fi here and try to do a live product demo as well. So hopefully that works. So back to the diagram. We talked about those gaps and we need a way to fill them. So our brand new solution, which we showed on stage yesterday, is called My Ideas. It's available to everybody now. We think My Ideas plus Pitch is a match made in heaven. You get real innovation impact in an efficient way, and now you can combine that with always-on catch-all employee ideation. So in that vein, My Ideas enables your employees to capture any idea, anytime, whenever their inspiration strikes. So now there's no gaps. You saw yesterday how I transfer from My Ideas to a pitch competition, so that enables us to have always-on ideation. As an employee, I like this because I now have a safe space to work on ideas. Only I can see the ideas that I save to My Ideas, and I have time to work on them. I can develop them out over time. I can capture them when it's just a nugget of an idea, and then later I can come back to them when I have time to build them out, add details, add attachments. So this is what we showed yesterday. I'm going to hop into the software here in just a second. You may remember this is built into the new user homepage. So if this looks new to you, that may be why. We're showing our new user experience when they log into the software. I will demo that as well. So who wants to see how this works? All right. So starting off, this may be something you're familiar with in terms of your enterprise site. I'm sure you all have customized it to the needs of your organization. I loaded this first to show you that On every page now within Bright Idea, you can enable this quick capture button so that employees can capture ideas no matter where they are in the platform. It's as simple as clicking that, and then they can type in their ideas. I'm going to hop over to that new user homepage though. So this is the new user home that you can enable. As an employee, when I log in, I'm going to see some quick stats, including the number of ideas that I've captured, along with my activity feeds and any admin messages that have been enabled. But we're all here for the My Ideas demo, so I'm going to go to that tab. Here you can see the ideas that I've already captured. They're listed out. I can sort those alphabetically or by created day. So once I start getting a large list of ideas, I can find what I need to continue working on them. We've also built in a search filter, so I can start typing and the list will automatically sort, highlighting the term in the idea title that I searched for. This is the idea that I logged yesterday during the product demo. So I can click into it. You may recall that I submitted this to our Q3 pitch competition. So you can see that that submission is actually linked here on the idea. I could submit an idea as a source to any number of initiatives that I want to. So if this doesn't win the Q3 pitch competition and I want to continue developing it out, I could submit it again in Q4 or next year in Q1. Editing the idea is as simple as clicking into the title or description fields. And I'm going to show you how to capture a new idea here. We can add attachments. I don't know where my files went now. There we go. So I can add attachments, so say an Excel document as well as images. And I can do those when I'm capturing the sorry about that. I can do that when I'm capturing the idea or when I'm editing the idea. I showed yesterday that we also have hashtags, and those are working. And they will be saved as idea tags. Thanks. Too much loud talking at the party last night. It's all catching up. Okay. And when I click save on that idea, I'm going to get a confirmation. I could click directly into the idea from this confirmation. So if I'm not on the user homepage, if I'm on, say, a solve challenge and I get a new spark of an idea, click straight in. Come on, hotel Wi-Fi. Don't fail me now. Try one more time. Okay. That's why you preload them. So if I click into the idea, I can create a submission from the idea. Again, I'm going to choose the Q3 pitch competition. And what this will do, it'll populate the submission form for this initiative. So it'll copy over the title, it'll copy over the description, any images and attachments that I've added. And then if there's additional submission form questions for the initiative, I'll be prompted to fill those out here. We're struggling with the hotel Wi-Fi. So when I submit it, it'll show up in the list. Magic. Okay, let's try one more demo. So Genevieve mentioned the Google Home skill yesterday, so let's see if this works. Okay, Google, talk to Bright Idea.
What is your idea?
This is my next big idea.
Your idea was saved.
Okay, so it's not on here. Let's see if it shows up. While we're waiting, I'll show you one other thing. So this is not just for the physical devices. If you have Google Assistant on your phone, you can also activate it here. Tell Bright Idea, this is my next big idea. Okay, now I should have two. And so this is a great solution while I'm out on my bike. If I get an idea, I can just whip it out and say my idea, and it'll be saved. I can come back and work on it later. And we also announced the Alexa Home. Sorry, I'm struggling here. We also announced the Alexa Home skill yesterday. So if you have an Alexa device, Amazon Echo, you can install that skill there. And you can also email ideas in. So if you're on the go, you can send an email to myidea at whatever your URL is, .brightidea.com, and it'll add to this list. Thank you. Okay. So I hope I've caught your attention. I've piqued your interest. Hopefully I showed you something new here today. How you can combine always on ideation and fuel a pitch program from that. So what are you all waiting for? What questions do you still have? We've got a little bit of time here now, about 20 minutes or so. If you have questions, we are happy to answer those. I've got some subject matter experts as well in the room here with me. These the mics?
Yes. I'm not sure. Does Google Home work in other languages other than English? Like Spanish and Portuguese?
I'm going to ask Kelly. So round of applause for Kelly. She made that work.
Yeah, just a quick question. So I'm assuming that you have to have the Bright Idea app installed on your phone to do that.
Use the voice skill.
Right.
You don't have to have the Bright Idea app. You just need to go into the Google Home app and search for Bright Idea and add that skill.
I'm just like, how does it then connect to like our GM Bright Idea then? That's what I'm
So when you add that skill as a user, you would authenticate with your account and select your affiliate, and then ideas will be submitted there. So if you have access to gm.brightidea or whatever your URL is, you can authenticate that way.
Yeah, so right now, when you ask for it to talk to Bright Idea, I mean, if you wanted, you could say talk to, iHub. We'll customize that for you, or if you wanted more questions to be added in, we can build that for you.
And if you don't want employees to be able to do this, you can also selectively disable that.
So regarding the new My Ideas list, in terms of access for admins, so that's a pretty large pipeline potentially of new ideas that don't necessarily have a home yet. Mm-hmm. Do the admins have access to see corporate-wide ideas that aren't necessarily associated with the challenge or campaign?
The admins do not currently have access to that. That's definitely something we're keeping an ear out for to see what the need and expectation there is. Currently, though, they are private ideas for that employee.
Okay, just think of the use case of, say, we're thinking about next campaigns and we want to see, oh, there's this storm of people talking about the same tag, for instance, or a trend throughout the organization.
I love that suggestion there, tags or trends or some kind of keyword analytics. Yeah.
could just show metadata, like you can see the volume of ideas, or you could maybe do like summary stats of what keywords are showing up, or full admin access. I think we just had to land somewhere, and we thought the value of the private was, there was value on that side as well.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to hear.
So I'll just also make a plug. We do have the Suggest app, which is really for ideation anytime, and that's more of an official workflow. There's lots of considerations if you're collecting ideas about anything, obviously, but you don't necessarily have to plug that into a process, although we would probably advise that. If you're collecting ideas and Suggest, you can potentially turn them to hidden, so they're still private for the user, but they're accessible to the admin.
Drafts, that's your thing. Like people will have drafts. People will have drafts, but they don't submit them because they're like embarrassed of those ideas. That's usually what happens.
Sure.
So sometimes, like, okay, we close the challenge, and we would like to see how many drafts were left, just to tell people, like, okay, we'll open the challenge for one more day, so that you can submit your drafts.
Yeah.
So that's
Very
why we
interesting.
yeah, like you said, maybe not read the information because otherwise they will filter what they're saying or thinking, but at least get a number. Like there's 10 drafts waiting here.
Yeah. Also, you can work with our customer success or our services teams. You could set up a workflow where people can selectively make their idea collaborative. So in the submission form, if you have a question like, would you like to share this idea or not? Of course, there's things I think that you need to think through if you take that approach. But then you can use our rules engine actually to hide the ideas as they get submitted, but still plug them through your process.
Thanks.
Yeah, so a couple quick notes there. One, I love getting feedback. My card is by the door, so feel free to grab a card on your way out and email me about any of this if you have strong opinions, comments, suggestions, questions. And two, we are focusing mostly for the scope of this conversation on our programs tier. Sorry again. So if you are a programs customer, you might not have access to the Suggest app. And so this is a scalable and great way to get started with catch-all employee ideation if you don't have access to that.
So back real quick to the pitch events themselves. You mentioned and recommended kind of this quarterly cycle of events. Are those generally done? Are you envisioning that at a corporate level in the sense of like some sort of corporate innovation pitch quarterly? And if you are, in terms of like budget cycles and those kinds of things, advisor availability, do you envision that, or would you envision that more as like a kind of king of the ring, king of the mountain kind of model, where you're having like different business units competing against each other?
Yeah, I think you could have either, I try to use the term organization, which could be at any level. So it could be a product group, product line group. It could be organization-wide from the C level. So yeah, you could have multiple pitch programs running at different groups in the company. I think probably the higher up you go, maybe the more drawn out these get, because you are going to get bigger and broader ideas. You're going to have more ideas flowing in, more involved on the management side.
So yeah, I have two questions. One is my idea is a great feature, so yeah, thank you for rolling this out.
Thanks.
My question is, do you offer any suggestions in terms of communicating this feature to a large organization, how to roll out a program of this magnitude, and how to train people to use it, particularly a company of our size with 100,000 employees?
Yeah, communication is key. We have been scrambling to get this launched, so we may be a little behind on providing good communication to the employees, but it's definitely something we want to help with. So yeah, any suggestions you all have also on that front of how we can make it easier for you to communicate this and message this to your employees, I would love to hear those. If there's folks in the room who want to chime in or answer as well, I definitely will open that one up.
And my second question is, once from my idea, the idea gets submitted to the initiative, can the employees still track on their page the comments or votes and other things?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and show you that. So if I come back, if I can get to this one I submitted yesterday. So the my idea will stay there, and the submission will become a separate entity, and the user who submitted both of or created both of those will be able to track them both. So yesterday I submitted this 3D print. Oh, sorry, I gotta exit out of that. So yesterday I submitted this 3D printed engine struts. You can see it's still here in my ideas list. I have that linked submission, but I'm going to click out of that for a second. So we also have the submissions tab, so that lists all of the ideas that I have submitted. So you'll see that it also shows up here. So they are two separate entities at this point, and I could continue developing out my idea to be submitted to another initiative, or I could develop out that submission independently. So here's the submission. Does that answer the question?
So the employees are, usually they receive initiative, right? The challenge or the pitch idea you're launching. So they'll be able to comment here on the idea submitted by the employee.
Yes, so once it becomes submitted, then other employees can come in and comment on it,
So
and the original submitter will be notified when people comment on it. And this will behave however you've set up idea
Okay.
submissions for this initiative, so for the pitch competition.
So it'll
here
be a
in this case.
notification. It does not copy the same comment on his page automatically.
Right, yeah, that's still just a private space, so it's only work that I've done there in my ideas.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Hi. I just wanted to mention also, I don't know if y'all caught on the new user homepage that we showed yesterday that Ryan touched on again. There is a section on there for the administrator, so all of you all, to post a message for your employees to see. And you can change that message as you have new updates to share. So it is another tool that we're giving you all to not only share, hey, we did a great job, everyone, on this last solve challenge. We solved the big problem. So proud of you all. We've got this next awesome pitch competition coming up. Do a little marketing for what you're doing, but also to share new features. Hey, by the way, there's now an area for you to submit your private ideas, and we want to make sure no great idea is ever lost. So check that out. And that can work for any other feature too. So give you one more channel.
That's a great tip. Any other questions? Couple up front, maybe.
So I didn't hear much yesterday or today about the mobile app. Do you guys, how does this integrate with the mobile app, if at all?
My ideas or pitch competitions? Or both?
More just if there was any updates to the mobile app, and specifically the My Ideas, is that in the mobile
My
app?
ideas is not yet in the mobile app. No, if you're running a pitch competition though, employees will be able to access that and make submissions, comment, engage with submissions through the mobile app. But we haven't yet integrated My Ideas into that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, as far as mobile goes, we have the email submission and then Google Assistant.
So, okay, the app is not ready, but is the website responsive, for example, if they open it on a cell phone?
I can show you how it'll. The table should collapse down. There may be a couple bugs now since we're just releasing that, but the table for My Ideas should collapse down pretty nicely. Yeah. So actually setting it up? Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you can choose to enable this new user homepage. You can choose how users access that. So that does that become the default landing page when they log in, or do they still land on your enterprise site and then link in separately to the user homepage? And then when the user homepage is enabled, you can choose which of these features and tabs show up. And My Ideas is one of those. So when you enable user home, then you can enable My Ideas, and then from there, you can enable email submission, voice submission. You can rename that object if you want to call it something different. I'm going to have to take a bathroom break. From one problem to another. I've got one. Any other questions?
Yeah, just one more question. So I did hear mention of APIs in the general presentation yesterday. Is the My Ideas, is that on the roadmap for API? So in terms of like, maybe we've got another homepage or another 3 homepages depending on the organization, but having that as a API back in from another place?
Are you able to speak to that? Or
We'll take it under consideration, I guess is the best I can say. Yeah.
Could you show how you get to the user homepage? A lot of times it's been preloaded. I don't know, I may have missed how you got there if it's not automatically loaded, or if you don't set it to automatically load whenever you log in.
Yeah, I can show that. So there are 2 options there. One is that you set it to your new landing page, so when employees log in, it'll be the first thing they see. If they click your logo to go to the home, it'll go to that. The other way to set it up is how I have it set up here, which is I still have my enterprise site enabled, and then I can link into the user homepage through a custom link, or by using the member landing page link. So essentially, if you're using the member landing page, it will replace that. So here I just have it called My Activity for the demo, and when I click into that, it'll load the new user homepage. So you have 2 options. That'll just take you to the profile page, so the same one. Yes, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's more like the page you land on, similar to Facebook, Twitter, these kind of social networks. So you land on it, you can see everything you've done, everything you have access to, what kind of activity is going on with your colleagues. So a lot of things that you previously had to build out manually if you wanted a more dynamic site. Any other questions? Correct, that's one of the options, yes. If there are no questions, we have a giveaway. So while we're getting that queued up, you may have heard this pitch already, but we understand that it's not easy to pull all this stuff together. That's why, in addition to us at Bright Idea, there's a new community available to you, so you can ask questions, you can share your experiences, you can learn from each other, in the trenches stories. So we have a sign-up list going around. Kelly has been adding people to our Slack and LinkedIn communities. If you've already signed up, you are entered into the raffle to win one of these rocket piggy banks. So thinking business impact and shooting for the stars here. And they're handmade, yes. So we're giving away 2 of those to people who have already signed up. If you haven't already signed up, you can still sign up. Unfortunately, the raffle list is closed, and Kelly is going to randomly select 2 names right now.
Okay, hopefully you 2 are in here. But first is Michael Herrero from TD Ameritrade.
Michael. All right.
Round of applause for
we'll
Michael.
Have to find Michael.
And then second, Jared Matthews from Franklin Templeton. Yay,
All right.
you're here.
And if you want to take it home now, you're welcome to. Otherwise, we can get it shipped to you if you don't have space for it in your carry-on.
I'm driving.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody.